The Moomins are the central characters in a series of books, and a comic strip by Swedish-speaking Finnish illustrator and writer Tove Jansson, originally published in Swedish by Schildts in Finland. They are a family of white, roundish fairy tale characters with large snouts that make them resemble hippopotamuses. The carefree and adventurous family live in their house in Moominvalley, though in the past, their temporary residences have included a lighthouse and a theatre. They have had many adventures along with their various friends. In all, 9 books were released in the series, including 5 picture books and a comic strip being released between 1945 and 1993. The Moomins have since been the basis for numerous television series, films and even a theme park called Moomin World in Naantali, Finland. This fictional comic series has been adapted in Finland and developed into animation film that was translated into Nepali by Rishat Bhattarai and broadcast in Nepal television. Synopsis and characters. The Moomin stories concern several eccentric and oddly shaped characters, some of whom are related to each other. The central family consists of Moomin Papa, Moomin Mama and Mumintroll. Other characters, such as Hem, Sniff, the Snork Maiden, Snufkin and Little My are accepted into or attach themselves to the family group from time to time, generally living separate lives in the surrounding Moominvalley, where the series is set. It is in this fictional valley, that the Moomin family decides to live at the end of the Moomins and the Great Flood. Characters: Moomin Papa, father of the family, but boyish and adventurous. He likes to be present when something unusual happens. He is philosophical at times and likes writing his memoirs. Moomin Mama, the calm mother, who takes care that Moomin House is a safe place to be. She wants everyone to be happy, appreciates individuality, but settles things when someone is wronged. She always brings good food as well as whatever else may be necessary on a journey in her handbag. Mumintroll, also referred to as Moomin in some of the English translations, the little boy of the family, interested in and excited about everything he sees and finds, always trying to be good, but sometimes getting into trouble while doing so. He is very brave and always finds a way to make his friends happy. The Hemulans, creatures that believe in order and like to boss other people around, but find it difficult to listen to anyone and lack a sense of humor. Many Hemulans like collecting stuff, and have little time to think about much else. Sniff, a small creature, who lives in the Moomin house. He likes to take part in everything, but is afraid to do anything dangerous. Sniff appreciates all valuables and makes many plans to get rich, but does not succeed. Snork Maiden, Moomin, a Euro unregistered trademark girlfriend. She is happy and energetic, but often suddenly changes her mind on things. She loves nice clothes and jewelry and is a little flirtatious. The Snork Maiden, a Euro unregistered trademark brother. He is an introvert by nature and is always inventing things. The residents of Moominvalley often ask Snork for help solving tricky problems and building machines. Snorks are like Moomintrolls, but change color according to their mood. Snufkin, Moomin's best friend. The lonesome philosophical traveler, who likes to play the harmonica and wanders around the world with only a few things, so as not to make his life complicated. He always comes and goes as he pleases, is carefree and has lots of admirers in Moominvalley. He is also shown to be quite fearless and calm in even the most dire situations, which has proven to be a great help to Mumintroll and the others when in danger. Little Mai, a mischievous tomboyish little girl, who lives in the Moomin house and has a brave, spunky personality. She likes adventure, but loves catastrophes, and often does mean things on purpose. She finds messiness and untidiness exciting and is very down-to-earth, when others are in a Euro unregistered trademark T. The younger Mimble, also referred to as the Mimble's daughter Little Maya, Euro unregistered trademark amiable and helpful big sister, and half-sister of Snufkin. She often has romantic daydreams about the love of her life, particularly policemen. Tiki, a wise woman, and good friend of the family. She has a boyish look, with a blue hat and a red striped shirt. She dives straight into action to solve dilemmas in a practical way. Tiki is the one of the people in Moominvalley, who does not hibernate, instead spending the winter in the cozy sauna building of the Moomin house. Mrs. Filligink, a female rodent-like being who believes order and principle are vital to life, and she does not want her 3 children to learn bad habits. She easily loses her temper and even the slightest misfortune depresses her. She is often seen cleaning the house. The Hattifatteners mushroom-like silent creatures, that wander around the world eternally, often in large groups, wanting to reach the horizon. They travel by boat and get attracted by lightning, when they become electric and quite dangerous. Thingamy and Bob, inseparable twins, with their own funny language, which are hemmed deciphers, consisting largely of spoonerisms and similar inversions of words and syllables. Moomin eventually gets the hang of it, while Sniff thinks they are speaking a foreign language. They like to hide in small places, but to others it is not always clear what they are up to. They do not know what is theirs and steal Moomin Mama a unregistered trademark S handbag to live in, which they soon return when they realize how much she needs it. The ruby they stole is, however, not returned to the Groke at all. They swap the ruby for another ruby with the hobgoblin. The Groke, a ghost-shaped creature that scares everyone, she says nothing and the ground freezes below her. The other characters are afraid of her, but she is just simply very lonely. The Groke is also attracted to fire, but when she sees it and sits on it, the fire will extinguish. Stinky, a small furry creature that always plays jokes on the family in the house, where he sometimes lives. He likes pinching things, is proud of his reputation as a crook, but always gets found out. He is simple and only thinks of himself. The Muddler, living in a coffee tin, this anxious collector stores away all the buttons he finds, but his carelessness with the collection makes him lose and forget things. The Fuzzy is the Muddler a unregistered trademark S-wife, whom he met on an adventure with Moomin Papa. Sniff is their child, but he lives with the Moomins. Biographical interpretation. Critics have interpreted various Moomin characters as being inspired by real people, especially members of the author's family, and Tove Jansson spoke in interviews about the backgrounds of, and possible models for, her characters. Tove Jansson's life partner was the graphic artist Tulaki Pitala, whose personality inspired the character Tiki in Moominland Midwinter. Mumintroll and Little My have been seen as psychological self-portraits of the artist. The Moomins, generally speaking, relate strongly to Jansson's own famiglia they were bohemian, lived close to nature and were very tolerant towards diversity. Moomin Papa and Moomin Mama are often seen as portraits of Jansson's parents Victor Jansson and Signe Hamarsson Jansson. Most of Jansson's characters are on the verge of melancholy, such as the always formal Hem, or the strange Hattifatteners, who travel in concerted, ominous groups. Jansson uses the differences between the characters' philosophies to provide a venue for her satirical impulses. List of books. The books in the series, in order, are The Moomins and the Great Flood a 1945. Comet in Moominland, some editions, The Happy Moomins a 1946. Finn Family Mumintroll a 1948. The Exploits of Moomin Papa, some editions, Moomin Papa's Memoirs a 1950. Moominsummer Madness a 1954. Moominland Midwinter a 1957. Tales from Moominvalley a 1962. Moomin Papa at Sea a 1965. Moominvalley in November a 1970. All of the books in the main series except The Moomins and the Great Flood were translated and published in English during the 1960s and 70s. This first book would eventually be translated into English in 2005 by David Macduff and published by Schildts of Finland for the 60th anniversary of the series. A later 2012 version of the same translation featuring Jansson's new preface to the 1991 Scandinavian printing, was published in Britain by Sorter Books, and was more widely distributed. There are also 5 Moomin picture books by Tove Jansson, the book about Moomin, Mimble and Little My a 1952. Who Will Comfort Tofel? A 1960. The Dangerous Journey a 1977. Skurken I Moomin Huset a 1980. Visa Fra Yen en Mumindalen a 1993. The books and comic strips have been translated from their original Swedish and English respectively into many languages. The book about Moomin, Mimble and Little My is the first Moomin book to be adapted for iPad. The comic strip. The Moomins also appeared in the form of comic strips. Their first appearance to a big audience was in the popular London newspaper The Evening News in 1954, in English. Tove Jansson drew and wrote all the strips until 1959. She shared the workload with her brother Lars Jansson until 1961. After that he took over the job until 1975 when the last strip was released. Drawn and Quarterly, a Canadian graphic novel publisher, is currently releasing a new reprint series of all the evening news strips created by both Tove and Lars Jansson beginning in October 2006. The first 5 volumes, Moomin, the complete Tove Jansson comic strip have been published, whilst the 6th volume, published in May 2011, began Moomin, the complete Lars Jansson comic strip. In the 1990s, a comic book version of Moomin was produced in Scandinavia after Dennis Lifson and Lars Jansson's animated series was shown on television. Neither Tove nor Lars Jansson had any involvement in these comic books. However, in the wake of the series, 2 new Moomin comic strips were launched under the artistic and content oversight of Lars and his daughter, Sophia Jansson Zambra. Sophia now provides sole oversight for the strips. TV series and films. The story of the Moomins has been made into television series on many occasions by various groups, the most recent of which is a Japanese-Euro-Dutch collaboration, that is also produced a feature-length film. However, there are also 2 Soviet serials, puppet animation Mumintroll and cutout animation Schildts Volshebnika of 3 parts each, and the Polish-Euro-Austrian puppet animation TV series, The Moomins, which was broadcast and became popular in an edited form in the United Kingdom in the 1980s. The 2 newest feature films reuse the footage of the Polish-Austrian series. Moomin and Midsummer Madness had its release in 2008, and in 2010 the Moomins appear in the first Nordic 3D film production, with the title song by Bja Paragraph RK, in Moomins and the Comet Chase. The upcoming, recent animated motion picture film titled Moomins on the Riviera is based on Moomin comic strip story Moomin on the Riviera and is set to be released on October 2014. Die Moominvalley 1959 West German marionette TV series, and its 1960 sequel Sturm im Mumintroll, Moomin, 1969 a Euro 70 Japanese traditional animation TV series, Mumintrollet, 1969 Swedish-language Finnish suit actor TV series, Shin Moomin, 1972 Japanese traditional animation TV series, remake of the 1969 series by the staff of its latter half, Moomin, 1971 Japanese traditional animation film, Moomin, 1972 Japanese traditional animation half-hour film, Muminvalley, 1973 Swedish suit actor TV series based on Moominland Midwinter. Mumintroll, 1978 Soviet Union stop-motion serial film of Comet in Moominland, Opower Weirdania Muminka Cube W, 1977 a Euro 82 Austrian, German and Polish-produced fuzzy felt stop-motion TV series made in Poland. The series has been recompiled a number of times in other formats, Moomin and Midsummer Madness, 2008 Finnish-produced compilation movie of the TV series, Moomins and the Comet Chase, 2010 Finnish-produced 3D film compiled and converted from the 1977 a Euro 82 series, The Moomins, 2010 Finnish-produced high-definition video version of the 1977 a Euro 82 series. Vem ska tra paragraph Starknytet. 1980 Swedish traditional animation half-hour film of Who Will Comfort Toffel? Schildts Volshebnika, 1980 a Euro 83 Soviet Union cutout animation serial film of Finn family Mumintroll, different staff and aesthetic to the 1978 serial, Tanashi Marminika, 1990 a Euro 91 Dutch, Finnish and Japanese produced traditional animation TV series made in Japan, Tanashi Marminika, Barken Nikki, 1991 a Euro 92 Dutch and Japanese produced traditional animation TV series made in Japan, a continuation of the 1990 a Euro 91 series, Tanashi Marminika, Maammandani no Suase, 1992 Dutch and Japanese-produced traditional animation feature film made in Japan, a prequel to the 1990 Euro 91 series. Hugget det sen. 1993 Swedish short film of the book about Moomin, Mimble and Little My, Moomins on the Riviera, 2014 French hand-drawn animated feature film, with a plotline taken from the comic strip. Moomin music. The Moomin novels describe the musical activities of the Moomins, particularly those of Snufkin, his harmonica with trills, and twiddles. All Moomin characters sing songs, often about their thoughts and themselves. The songs often serve as core statements of the characters' personalities. The original songs. This music was heard outside Moominvalley after they went live on theatre stage in Stockholm. Director Viveca Bandler told Jansson in 1959, "Listen, here the people want songs." The earlier version of the play was cast in Helsinki with no music. Helsinki-based pianist and composer, Erna Toro was commissioned to write the songs to lyrics by Jansson. The first collection consisted of 6 Moomin songs, Mumintroll a Euro unregistered trademark S song, Little My Euro unregistered trademark S song, Mrs. Filajonka Euro unregistered trademark S song, Theatre Rat Emma Euro unregistered trademark S Words of Wisdom, Miss Abila Euro unregistered trademark S Lament and Final Song. More songs were published in the 1960s and 1970s, when Jansson and Lars Jansson produced a series of Moomin dramas for Swedish television. The simple, yet effective melodies by Toro were well received by the theatre and TV audiences. The first songs were either sung unaccompanied or accompanied by a pianist. While the most famous Moomin songs in Scandinavia are undoubtedly Mumintroll a Euro unregistered trademark S song, and Little My Euro unregistered trademark S song, they appear in no context in the novels. The original songs by Jansson and Toro remained scattered after their initial release. The first recording of the complete collection was made in 2003 by composer and arranger Mika Pertola on the Moomin Voices CD, as a tribute to the late Tove Jansson. Toro had died in June 1993 and some of Jansson's last lyrics were composed by Pertola in cooperation with Jansson's heirs. Pertola was also the arranger of all songs for a vocal ensemble and chamber orchestra. All voices were sung by a Lan native vocalist, Johanna Gra 1/4 SSNER. The same recording has been released in a Finnish version in 2005, Muumilla Luja. The Finnish lyrics were translated by Kirsi Kunnas and Veksi Sami. The Swedish and Finnish recordings of Moomin voices, and their respective musical scores, have been used as course material at Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. The Moomin Voices live band is dedicated to exclusively performing the original lyrics and unaltered stories by Ms. Jansson. This band is led by Pertola on piano, with vocalists Mirja Currency Keela Currency and Diapi Ersin. Other musical adaptations, independent musical interpretations of the Moomin stories have been made for the screen versions in Poland, Great Britain and Japan. These lyrics, however, often contain simple slogans, and the music is written in a children's pop music style and with no lyrics by Jansson. These songs contrast sharply with the original Moomin novels and Jansson's pictorial, descriptive and witty lyrical rhyming, as well as Erna Toro's Scandinavian-style songs, which are occasionally influenced by Kurt Weill. A Moomin opera was written in 1974 by the Finnish composer Ilkka Kuusisto, and in which Jansson designed the costumes. Musicscapes from Moominvalley is a 4-part work based on the Moomin compositions of composer and producer Heikki Currency Enpä Currency. It was created on the basis of the original Moomin works for the Tampere Art Museum. 20 new Moomin songs were produced in Finland by Timo Poija Currency RVI and Ari Vainio in 2006. This Finnish album contains no original lyrics by Jansson. However, it is based on the novel, Comet in Moominland, and adheres to the original stories. The songs are performed by Samuel Edelman, Sani, Tommy La Currency Ntinen, Susanna Haavisto and Jorma Jaranta and other established Finnish vocalists in the pop entertainment genre. The same 20 compositions are also available as standalone multimedia CD postcards. The Icelandic singer Paragraph RK has composed and performed the title song for the film Moomins and the Comet Chase. The lyrics were written by the Icelandic writer Schildts. Hippopotamuses is an art project created by Russian composer Lex Plotnikov and photographer Tisha Razumovsky. The project consists of 31 ambient New Age music tracks and many photos of Moomin characters models. Theatre. Several stage productions have been made from Jansson's Moomin series, including a number that Jansson herself was involved in. The earliest production was a 1949 theatrical version of Comet in Moominvalley performed at a Svenska Teater. In the early 1950s, Jansson collaborated on Moomin-themed children's plays with Viveca Bandler. By 1958, Jansson began to become directly involved in theatre as Lilla Teater produced Troll IQ Lyssna, a Moomin play with lyrics by Jansson and music composed by Erna Toro. The production was a success, and later performances were held in Sweden and Norway, including recently at the Malmö Paragraph Opera and Music Theatre in 2011. Theme parks and displays, Moomin World. Moomin World is the Moomin theme park especially for children. Moomin World is located on the island of Kalo beside of the old town of Naantali, near the city of Turku in western Finland. The blueberry-colored Moomin house is the main attraction. Tourists are allowed to freely visit all 5 stories. It is also possible to see the Hemn's yellow house, Moomin Mama's kitchen, the fire station, Snufkin's camp, Moomin Papa's boat, etc. Visitors may also meet Moomin characters there. The Tampere Art Museum. The Moominvalley of the Tampere Art Museum is a museum devoted to the original works of Tove Jansson. It contains around 2,000 works. The museum is based on the Moomin books and has many original Moomin illustrations by Tove Jansson. The gem of the collection is a blue 5-story model of the Moomin house, which has Tove Jansson as one of its builders. As a birthday present, the 20-year-old museum received a soundscape work based on the works of Tove Jansson, called Musicscapes from Moominvalley. Interactive Playroom. An interactive playroom about the Moomins was located at Scandinavia House, New York, from November 11, 2006, till March 31, 2007. Success in popular culture, the Moomin boom. The Moomin boom started in the 1990s, when Dennis Lifson and Lars Jansson produced a 104-part animation series in Japan named Tales from Moominvalley, which was followed by a full-length movie Comet in Moominland. Moomin books had always been steady bestsellers in Finland, Sweden, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, but the animation started a new Moomin madness both in Finland and abroad, especially in Japan, where they are the official mascots of the Daiei chain of shopping centers. A large merchandising industry was built around the Moomin characters, covering everything from coffee cups and t-shirts to plastic models. Even the Finnish president Tarja Halonen has been known to wear a Moomin watch. New Moomin comic books and comic strips were published. Moomins were used to advertise Finland abroad. The Helsinki-Vantaa International Airport was decorated with Moomin images and Finnair painted big Moomin figures on its Japan line airplanes. The peak of the Moomin boom was the opening of the Moomin World theme park in Naantali, Finland, which has become one of Finland's international tourist destinations. The Moomin boom has been criticized for commercializing the Moomins. Friends of Tove Jansson and many old Moomin enthusiasts have stressed that the animations banalize the original and philosophical Moomin world to harmless family entertainment. An antithesis for the Disneyland-like Moomin World theme park is the Moomin Museum of Tampere, which exhibits the original illustrations and handmade Moomin models by Tove Jansson. The Jansson family has kept the rights of Moomins and controlled the Moomin boom. The artistic control is now in the hands of Lars Jansson's daughter, Sofia Jansson-Zambra. Wanting to keep the control over Moomins, the family has turned down offers from the Walt Disney Company. The name of the Russian rock group Mumintroll is a variant of the Russian name for the Moomins. Swedish progressive rock band Ritual have used the idea of Moomins in various songs, including "Sea Song for the Moomin Papa," "Moomin Took My Head," and, recently, a whole concept album dedicated to the furry trolls, the Hemilic voluntary band. The Moomins were selected as the main motif in a recent Finnish commemorative coin, the A10 Tove Jansson and Finnish children's culture commemorative coin, minted in 2004. The obverse depicts a combination of Tove Jansson portrait with several objects, the skyline, an artist's palette, a crescent, and a sailboat. The reverse design features 3 Moomin characters. See also, references. External links, official English website, official Finnish website, official Japanese website, the Mumintroll collection of Moomin book editions, unofficial Moomin character guide, Moomin at Schildts, Mumintrolls at Macmillan, the U.S. publisher, official website of Moomin Museum in Tampere, Finland, Zongavar Books, the Russian publisher of Moomin, IMDb Moominvalley Suit Actor Series, Umami March 29, 2009, A Trip to the Moomins' Birthplace.